the stone sleep of the Dolmens. They told us not to touch the ancient stones. Their warnings were not born of simple superstition, but of a deep, ancestral memory of a terror so profound, so patient, that it makes a mockery of our fleeting human lives. We, with our polished instruments and our condescending smiles, did not listen. Now, the terrible, slow weight of the earth is claiming me. The only sound is the grinding of my own bones as they fuse into unyielding stone, and the only thought that remains is the crushing understanding of my own insignificance. This is my final testament. My name is Mateus Alves, and this is the story of the granite curse. The Alentejo sun in late August was a merciless, blazing eye in a sky of bleached white blue. Our convoy of 2 dusty jeeps rattled into the village of Monte de Pedra, kicking up plumes of red dust that settled on the gnarled olive trees like a shroud. I was a PA student in archaeology from the University of Lisbon, a young man intoxicated by the promise of discovery. My professor, the renowned Dr. Artur Silva, sat beside me, his face a mask of academic fervor. "This will make our careers, Mateus," he said, his eyes scanning the impoverished, silent hamlet. "To properly document the Dolmen de Almendras, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." But from the moment we arrived, the air felt heavy, resistant. The villagers, a handful of weathered faces peering from doorways and shaded benches, did not greet us with curiosity. Their stares were flat, hostile, and laden with a fear so palpable it felt like a physical barrier. We found the only taverna, a dim, cool room that smelled of old wine and wood smoke. The owner, a grim-faced man, directed us to the elder, Anna. We found her sitting in the shade of a massive cork oak, her hands busy mending a fishing net, though the sea was miles away. She was ancient, her skin a complex map of wrinkles, her eyes the color of dark, wet stones pulled from a riverbed. When Dr. Silva explained our purpose, her hands stilled. The air grew cold. "You cannot go to the Vale dos Anciãos," she said, her voice a dry rustle, like dead leaves scraping over stone. "It is not a place for your machines and your digging. The Pedra da Alma Cansada sleeps. To wake it is to invite the stone sleep into your soul." Artur Silva chuckled, a patronizing sound that made me flinch. "My dear woman, we are men of science. We seek to understand, not to disturb spirits." Anna's eyes locked with his, and for a moment I saw not an old peasant woman, but a creature of immense, weary age. "The Pedra Viva do not care for your science. They were old when the first man learned to sharpen a rock. They are the bones of the world, and they dream a dream that is not meant for warm-blooded things. They feel your quick, frantic hearts like a sickness. They will make you still. They will make you quiet. They will return you to the dust from which you came." A shiver, completely unrelated to the shade, traced a path down my spine. But Dr. Silva simply thanked her and turned away, his mind already on the Dolmens. The following morning, we hiked into the valley. The Dolmen de Almendras was breathtaking. It was a colossal structure of granite megaliths, a tomb or a temple raised by hands lost to time. The central chamberstone, the Pedra da Alma Cansada, was a monstrous slab that seemed to absorb the sunlight, radiating a coldness that could be felt from feet away. Its surface was unnaturally smooth, devoid of the lichen and weathering that covered the other stones. And the symbols, they were carved in a language of spirals and concentric circles that seemed to writhe and shift at the edge of my vision. Staring at them for too long made me feel dizzy, as if I were falling into a bottomless stone well. Artur Silva was ecstatic. "Look at the precision! The mineral composition is unique." He ordered Carlos, our geologist, to take core samples. I was tasked with setting up the theodolite for mapping. As I positioned the tripod on the uneven ground, my boot slipped on a loose stone. I stumbled, throwing out my right hand to steady myself. My bare palm landed flat on the cold, smooth surface of the central megalith. The jolt was instantaneous and vile. It was not like static electricity. It was a surge of pure, invasive stillness. A cold that had nothing to do with temperature shot up my arm, a deep geological chill that felt ancient and utterly alien. It was the cold of 1 billion years of since, of continents drifting, of mountains rising and eroding to dust. I jerked my hand back as if burned, my fingers numb and tingling with a pins and needles sensation that felt like tiny crystals forming in my veins. That night, in my cramped tent, I dreamed. I was standing in the center of the dolmen, but the stones were twice as tall, blotting out the sky. My feet were roots, burrowing deep into the soil, sucking not water, but a profound mineral silence. I felt my skin thickening, hardening, cracking into a grey, granular crust. My heartbeat slowed from a frantic drum to a deep, ponderous gong, and then to a single, final thud that echoed into an eternity of quiet. I woke up gasping, my right hand clenched into a stiff, painful claw. The next morning, the stiffness remained. The skin on my palm and fingers was dry and rough, like fine grit sandpaper. I showed it to Dr. Silva, who dismissed it as a minor allergic reaction to a local plant. "Focus on the work, Matthias," he chided. Our focus was shattered an hour later by a scream that tore through the peaceful valley. It was Carlos. We found him by his drilling equipment, his face a mask of pure, undilated terror. He was staring at his left leg. From the knee down, it was no longer flesh and blood. It had taken on the color, the texture, the unyielding solidity of speckled grey granite. He was trying to beat his own leg with his fists, sobbing. "It's inside me!" he screamed, his voice cracking. "I can feel it! It's like molten rock moving through my veins. It's so heavy. For the love of God, make it stop." Panic, cold and sharp, finally pierced Dr. Silva's academic armor. We carried Carlos back to the village, his petrified leg weighing an impossible amount. The local doctor, a young man from the city, was utterly baffled. He could find no pulse, no blood flow below the knee. The limb was, for all intents and purposes, a perfectly sculpted stone attached to a living man. Anna stood at the doorway of the clinic, her expression not of vindication, but of profound sorrow. "The stone's sleep has tasted him," she said softly. "It will not stop until he is complete." We packed our camp in a frantic, chaotic rush. The other villagers watched us from a distance, their faces grim. As we loaded a sedated Carlos into the jeep, another student, a young woman named Ines, who had been taking photographs and had often leaned against the smaller stones for support, let out a small cry. She pulled up the back of her shirt to reveal a patch of skin on her lower back about the size of a saucer that had turned to the same rough, grey stone. Terror is a contagion more virulent than any plague. We fled Monte de Pedra as if the devil himself were at our heels. But the curse was not a localized phenomenon. It was a metaphysical infection, and we were its carriers. The journey to Lisbon was a nightmare. Carlos's condition worsened. The petrification crept up his thigh to his hip across his torso. He stopped screaming. His sobs turned to whimpers and then to silence. His eyes, once bright with intelligence, grew vacant and distant. He would stare out the window for hours, a faint, almost serene smile on his lips. It was as if he was listening to a vast, low planetary melody that was drowning out the noisy panic of our human world. By the time we reached the hospital in Lisbon, the stone had encased his chest. He was declared dead when it reached his heart, but his body was a masterpiece of terror. A perfect, life-sized statue of a man in the final throes of agony, his mouth forever open in a silent scream that was slowly being smoothed away into an expression of blank, mineral peace. The hospital, the police, the university, no one knew what to do. They placed him in a storage room, a geological anomaly that defied all explanation. Inez was admitted, but the doctors were powerless. Within days, she too was a stone effigy. And I am next. The stiffness that began in my hand is now a solid, dead weight. My entire right arm is stone, from the fingertips to the shoulder. It hangs by my side, a cold, alien appendage that no longer feels like a part of me. I can feel the curse moving now, a slow, crystalline creep across my collarbone, towards my heart. It doesn't hurt anymore. The pain has been replaced by a profound, weary acceptance. My human needs are fading. The smell of food cooking in the apartment below makes me nauseous. The sound of traffic is a jarring, irritating cacophony. I find myself standing for hours on my balcony, not moving, just feeling of the sun and wind on my face, longing for the deep, eternal glints of the earth. I am shedding my humanity like a useless skin. I am writing this with my left hand, the pen feeling clumsy and alien. Each word is a struggle against a growing apathy, a battle against the immense gravitational pull of the stone sleep. I am a vessel being filled with patience, with time, with stone. Soon, this hand too will stiffen. The pen will fall. My thoughts, these frantic, flickering things, will slow and still, replaced by the single endless thought of the bedrock. I will become a monument to my own arrogance, a permanent feature of the landscape. They will probably put me in a museum next to Carlos, a curiosity for future generations to puzzle over. Let this journal be a warning. The old stories are not just stories. They are memories. The earth is not passive. It is alive in a way we cannot comprehend, and it has its own defenses against the noisy, fleeting pests that scurry across its skin. Do not disturb the ancient stones. Do not listen for their secrets, for if you do, you may learn the most terrifying secret of all, that the silence of the earth is not empty. It is full, and it has been waiting for you. The stiffness is in my jaw now. It is getting harder to form words, even in my mind. The sun is setting. The light is very beautiful on the stone. I am so very tired.